and welcome to this week's episode of Potpourri. I'm your host, Raphael Lester, and today I have with me two beautiful young ladies, Miss Carol Lloyd and Miss J. Jones. How you ladies doing today?
We are doing great.
Great. Well, let's jump right into it. A little history. I know that you're from Memphis, so what led you to what you do now?
That's a loaded question. Actually, I was born in Memphis, but I was raised in Illinois. And I was introduced to Dunham technique when I was a teenager. I was actually trained in Dunham. And subsequently, I met Miss Dunham, and she gave me the rights to the establishment of the Dunham Institute Atlanta. And what I'm doing now is launching La Danse Noire, which is an online repository of black dance. Our website is www.ladansenoir.com. And Saturday, October the 25th, we're going to be restoring the legacy, a day of Dunham. And we're going to be preserving the aspect of the Dunham technique, which I was trained in as a teenager. We're going to be bringing in people from around the country. We're going to be celebrating Frances Taylor Davis. She's the Red Carpet honoree. In 1946, she was recruited by Miss Dunham, and she subsequently studied with her in New York and went to Paris and was the first black with the Paris Opera Ballet. So we're honoring her. She also is a legend in that she was married to Miles Davis for 10 years. She's on the cover of his first 4 albums. But she also was the first black with West Side Story. She and Sammy Davis Jr. created a sitcom back in the 60s, one for the show that never aired. She's like a lot of first to first, but the Dunham legacy is very rich. There are a lot of people who you know who study with Miss Dunham, Marlon Brando, Jeffrey Holder, who just passed. I mean, it's a big family. So what we want to do with the launch of the publication and the magazine is I want to honor who brought me into dance, and that's Catherine Dunham. And so that's what we're doing.
Oh, nice. And you, Miss J, how did you become to do what you do or give Atlanta and the world pretty much exclusive of what you actually do?
I actually was engrossed into dance at a very young age, and I guess initially it wasn't a choice. My mother, Denise McClendon, owns a dance studio, McClendon School of Dance. And when I first was coming up as a youngster, she was over at this location called the Arts Exchange, and this is well before all the other community centers and art centers came to be. This was a home of where you had visual artists, you had dramatic artists, you had dance, which my mom represented. We had karate. We did every single thing. And I was entrenched into the beauty and the wonder of the arts then. And I recognized that this was something that I wanted to pursue. With my mother's dance studio, she brought in the best of the best. You know, Atlanta was the melting pot, and when you came to Atlanta, all of the major black companies would come to her studio just to prepare for their performances that were, you know, going to be presented in and around the city. So I had a major opportunity to work with, you know, renowned artists from Dance Theater of Harlem to Alvin Ailey to so on and so on, Dallas Black Dance Theater. And to be in this position now as a artistic director and owner of AREA, which is an acronym for Atlanta's Resource for Entertainment and Arts, and to be in collaboration with Carol Lloyd with the Dunham Institute is such an honor. It's indeed an honor to continue to cultivate the talent of Atlanta. For those people who may not know about who Miss Dunham is, or may have seen an influence of hers somewhere down the road, to be able to teach them the techniques of it, and then also to how to really make it be a part of their life.
Now, I know that we live in a world that's very big. Now, how did you get two beautiful young ladies meet?
Oh, Carol. Well, it's indeed a small world, especially in our arts community is very small. I actually met Carol as a dancer, a young dancer. I was on the stage. I was invited to a special invitation only class with Arthur Mitchell of Dance Theater of Harlem. And I was on the stage in my wonderful lit hard and tights on the bar, you know, just hitting the step, because at this moment he asked or requested the best of Atlanta to come to have this special opportunity to perform with him. Did I not know Carol Lloyd was actually sitting in the audience? She actually has a picture today and showed me myself on the stage. So it just shows how it's a circle of life and how things come back around, and it was really meant for us to come together and to present this wonderful collaboration here in Atlanta.
And ironically, when I moved to Atlanta, I was a consultant with the National Black Arts Festival, Fulton County Arts Council, and the Arts Exchange.
Yeah.
So I met her mother when I first moved here. We worked together at the Arts Exchange. So she was a little bitty thing. So when I first encountered her, she was a very small child, because I moved here in 1988 from Denver. And so her mother had a dance program at the Arts Exchange, and she's a pioneer in black dance here in Atlanta, and along with my godmother, Valjean Grigsby, who was a liturgical pioneer. So there was a roster of people who were already in place when I came here, and Denise McClendon was one of them. So it was just fascinating that how, you know, our relationship has progressed. So when I presented Arthur Mitchell as a part of the National Black Arts Festival, we had a conversation with Arthur Mitchell, and the part of the program was to have we had a workshop, and we pre-selected. The schools selected like the best of the best students that they wanted to take that class. So she was selected to be in that class, and so it was just a wonderful experience. And at that time, Alicia Graff, who's now with the Dance Theater of Harlem, she's with Ailey now.
Well,
she was starting with DTH.
And she was on the stage with me.
Yeah, so it was Alicia Graff who was the demonstrator, and then she was this little bitty, Jay was like this little bitty thing. And,
I actually had the opportunity to take Alicia out around Atlanta to kind of show her the city, and we ended up going to Planet Hollywood, and I know it's closed now. We had hamburgers, believe it or not.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a circle. The dance community is very, very small. I mean, everybody really knows everybody, especially when you live like somewhere like Atlanta, but more importantly, we know the same people around the country. So it's a very closed, elite kind of circle, so to speak, because of the training is so specialized.
Ms. Jones, what led you to this particular type of dance?
Well, again, as my mother being a trailblazer of dance in the arts of Atlanta, you know, we were very engrossed into classical ballet in all elements of modern dance, tap, jazz, liturgical, and that's what Miss Dunham is really about. She's not just about one type of genre of dance. Actually, she created her own technique, but it focuses on all elements of dance. So for me, with my background of the techniques of dance, kind of segued me into learning the technique of Dunham. And then now making sure that my dancers understand the importance of having it a part of their lifestyle of training.
Okay, and I also know that you're an owner of AREA.
Yes.
Tell our viewers what that actually is.
AREA is actually a acronym for Atlanta's Resource for Entertainment and Arts, and we are a multidisciplinary performing arts center. We're housed in Midtown Atlanta on Peachtree Road. And we cultivate and train novice dancers, artists, singers, you know, anyone who possibly might want to go into the career of the arts. We cultivate that talent in our location, in addition to collaborating with wonderful organizations like the Dunham Institute and Miss Carol Lloyd to ensure that they are equipped to not just have a sustaining career, but also to be the next role models of our community.
Who would you say is the ultimate idol or icon that paved the way for you?
I mean, it stems back to my mom. You know, watching her and seeing how diligent she was as a business owner, but also too very passionate about the arts, and being true to what the arts really brings and what it speaks. She was indeed my role model, and to be able to carry the torch here in Atlanta and beyond about the importance of staying very connected to the roots of Atlanta, but also to continue to stretch our roots over, you know, as many lines and borders as possible. You know, I'm trying to hold that torch and represent as best as I can.
Right on. And Ms. Lloyd, What advice would you give college students or anyone that's just watching that to follow their dreams and to keep at what they're doing to maybe fill the shoes of you?
My shoes?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to feel mine. But I would say that I'm going to defer to Jay from a standpoint of to give the plug for Clark Atlanta. But I would just say whatever your passion is, follow it, because for me, being trained in dance as a child, and the concept that Miss Dunham utilizes is socialization through the arts. So you could take a child and you can train them, and you train them through the arts, but I was not just trained in how to dance. I was trained, we were taught how to apply makeup. We were taught about diet and nutrition. We actually were practicing Kwanzaa back then in the day, And so we learned that Dunham technique is a way of life. It's how you think, it's how you carry yourself. And really, it just opened so many doors for me. The training that I got as a child in Dunham opened all of my doors in terms of my career. And I'm fortunate that I got that kind of training. So I would just say get as much training as you can. Get it from the people who have the best, facilities like Area. I'm really happy to be in collaboration with them. We actually started serendipitously like, a year and a half ago. And it just migrated. We found out we have kindred spirits. We're both doing the same thing. And I would encourage you to, partner with people who are on the same path, collaborate with people that are about something, doing something, and you just never know the impact that you would ultimately have. I'm very happy to be sitting here now because this is an evolution of a relationship that's been evolving over a period of time. And so I would just say pursue your passion, and pursue your passion with passion.
All right. Thank you. Well, this brings us to a close of this segment. However, all this talk of dance, how can we go without dancing? So after this break, we'll be back with more Potpourri.
Yeah.
Crack don't allow. Found their way out of this.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
We'll be right back.
Matchsticks, matchbox, matching tie to matching socks. You don't know why, but you're really special to match point, match game. You and I are not the same, but I can tell that you're really special to me. There's something I can give to make you laugh, to help you live. We're the perfect match and you're really special to me. We're the perfect match and you're really special to me.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Potpourri. I'm your host, Raphael Lester, and I'm sitting here with Mr. Lee Reid. How's it going, Mr. Reid?
It's going well, Raphael. Thank you for having me today.
No problem. Well, let's jump right into it since you're back home at the AUC. I see that you attended Morehouse College. How was that? How was your experience as a college student that led you to where you are today?
My experience as a college student, was that one, it prepared me, it prepared me for law school, which I eventually went to at North Carolina Central University. The exposure that I had to great teachers, the exposure to the education prepared me for my additional pursuits.
Nice. And I know also when I was reading up, because I have to do a little touch up to see who's coming in.
Right.
I saw that you are part of the best, the most elite, world's finest Navy.
Yes,
now,
sir.
how was your experience as a service member?
It was a great experience. I appreciate it more and more each year. I served on the USS John F. Kennedy, CV-67. I went in the Navy in '87, and the benefits of going in there paid off every year.
Wow. And now I also see that you're the executive director of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board. Now, what's that process? Or can you just give pretty much the world now that we are now online?
Right.
Can you give the world an insight of what that actually is?
Yes. The Atlanta Citizen Review Board, ACRB, was created in 2007 after the death of Miss Katherine Johnson. She was a 92-year-old black woman who was killed by Atlanta police officers in 2006. The city felt it was wise to create an independent body to review the actions of Atlanta police and corrections officers. So they created this board that has citizen representation, 11 board members, and city staff that conducts investigations. I'm the executive director of it, and I have employees who work within the organization who conduct the investigations, and then we forward it to the citizen board that will actually make the decision on the cases, and then they go to the police department for a disciplinary decision.
And not only just that situation that you mentioned, I probably wasn't that knowledgeable of that situation, and that's still going on. So the situation in Ferguson, Missouri, what's your take on that?
Yes, those situations are still occurring, and the thing I guess what I would like to really get across to people is that, one, we have to report any misconduct that occurs, because it's about checks and balances. Some things may not be misconduct, but those that are need to be addressed immediately, and not only reporting, but we have to stay involved in the process to make sure that those who are responsible for holding officers accountable actually hold officers accountable. That includes me with my job and the agency that I work for, making sure that we do the job that we're supposed to, as well as the police department does the job it's supposed to by holding officers accountable. That way we can lessen those or reduce those types of incidents by holding people accountable at the very beginning.
And even though you are in Atlanta or Atlanta based, it's more of, you're coming from the same school that a man with a dream had, Dr. Martin Luther King, and we're still living in his dream. What would you do to continue to push beyond Atlanta to extend to pretty much the world, for have you?
My goal when I took this job was to figure out how to improve the relationships between police and the black community and minority community, and actually the police and how they relate to everyone all citizens. And that requires us, one, holding officers accountable. That requires us communicating to the public about what interaction should look like, and also having people be involved in the conversation, in the programs, in the investigations, in the process, to be able to make sure that we have officers responsive to citizens' needs.
And you being the new executive director, what implementations have the Atlanta Citizen Review Board have implemented so that maybe the community can get more involved or get in touch with you guys? How's that filing report process?
Thank you for that question, Raphael. Since I've been here, what I've been pushing is community outreach, making sure that the public understands that we exist, one, and two, that's a friendly process to where if you have a concern, contact us. Even if it's not a complaint, if you have a concern about how you believe an officer may have responded during an incident that causes questions, contact us. It's easy to contact us either through the web, through email, our phone number, 404-865-8622, on our web, www.acrbgov.org, or our email address, acrb@atlantanga.gov. We're on social media, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Any question a person has, any concern they have, we want to hear about it.
Okay. And I'm not sure if you're aware of what actually goes on pretty much near your alma mater. It's more of like robberies and stuff like that. What advice would you give maybe college students that are being taken advantage of by pretty much people in this community?
My advice would be, one, although we investigate the police, we support the police in that if you have an issue involving crime, of course, contact the police. And make sure that the police are following up on your concerns. Now, if you have an interaction with the police and how they are being responsive to your concerns, that's something that needs to be discussed as well. What we want to do, what I advocate for is engagement, constant communication, and setting the expectation that I've told you, now you need to respond to me. You know, and so I believe that's how we move things forward.
And the reason I pose that question is because, you know, when you see something that goes on in the news as far as involving law enforcement, then law enforcement kind of lose their integrity. So it's how would you break that barrier? What bridge, or does your office build that bridge, or the Atlanta Review, or Atlanta Citizen Review Board, do they bridge that gap of integrity of officers?
Yes. Our mission is to instill confidence in the Atlanta Police Department and corrections officers. Our role in that is ensuring that when citizens have concerns, that those concerns are addressed, and that we follow up on it through our reporting back to the public, increasing that transparency, and holding officers accountable so that when we send over sustained complaints, that the police department acts on it. Now, one thing I have to say is that although the city has this process in place, it has to have citizen participation, citizen engagement in the process to ensure that when people need the process, it's there, it's strong, and it can get the results that citizens are expecting. And that's changing police culture, that's holding officers accountable.
I really appreciate having you on my show today, Mr. Reid, and I see that you are a man of vision. Yes. And a very fellow vet, and I know that whatever your office is set to do will get accomplished. Thank you so much, Mr. Reid, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Up next, we have a performance by A Day of Dunham.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
There's a monster in my bed.
Even innocent things can trigger an asthma attack. Learn more at noattacks.org.
Please make the monsters go away.
Wow, 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 wow. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Potpourri. Until next time, au revoir.